Folks, first steps in the protocol is, well, we're trying everything out. I'm gonna have to pull carburetors off because this engine went underwater. It was not running, but it went underwater. And if we look at the scope, we can see that cylinder number 4, the bottom cylinder, has a good bit of water. The first thing I did was pull the plugs, grab the endoscope, and start checking the cylinders. Cylinder number 1 here has obvious signs of water. You see water droplets all over the top of the piston. Then number 2, we see obvious signs of water in number 2 cylinder. You start to see a little bit of rust too. Number 3, you can see it a whole lot better. Whenever we get over into number 3, there you see that there's a little bit of water and there's obvious surface rust already getting started. So this didn't need to wait any longer. Number 4 was full of water. Piles of water was in number 4. Yeah, see it right there. Yeah, we got a lot of water that came in through the carburetors. Yep, so we got to get this protocol done. Yeah, there's a lot of water in cylinder number 4. Well, folks, I got Capt Buster's primary riverboat here. My place, they had a little bit of a loading accident after the last river trip. The bow strap, the winch strap broke when they were loading it, and the boat slid back. The river was low. Boat slid back, back half. Water spilled over the motor, over the transoms. I got into the boat. A lot of the back of the boat was underwater. I'm doing a submerged motor protocol on it now. Yep, and several $100s in GoPros and mountain equipment and batteries went over the side to the bottom of the river. Ouch. Had everything out here in the last few hours drying in the sun. I know that the ignition switch went underwater. Everything went underwater here in the back of the boat. We'll hope, let's see if things power on here. The motor looks pretty well dry. I got the plugs out, but we'll want to spin it over. I put some PB Blaster down into cylinders. We just want to make sure that there's no water in there or anything like that. You surely don't want to hydrolock your motor. These 95 Mercs are pretty much bulletproof, but let's see if it powers on. Oh, that's a good sign. Let's see if it'll spin over. Okay, it may not be. Looks like it's, hang on, let's get the shifter right. It's probably not in neutral. There we go. No, it was not in neutral, it was in forward. We'll see. Okay. We'll definitely have to shoot some more lube on these, on the linkages and all that here on the shifter. All right, let's see. Let's see, we got it in neutral now, if it'll spin over. Spin it over with the plugs out and kick as much of that moisture out of it as we can. See if I can get y'all around here where you can see what's going on. Whew, that's a lot of water coming out that cylinder. That should have got most of the water. That was water coming out of the top cylinder too. Whew. You can see the water sitting right there. And leaving it out here in the sun like this, that helps it dry out as well. You surely don't want it to hydrolock. Now I need to pull the carburetors off the thing. Boys and girls, before you start any work on a outboard motor or any engine for that matter that has a 12 volt DC setup, remove one side or the other. I just remove the negative side because that's just what I removed. Take it loose, you break the circuit. That way, if you got to do something like pull the starter to make it a lot easier to get to the carburetors, you're not doing any welding or anything like that. You surely don't want to do any welding, not on your outboard. And now that we got our starter out of the way, now see that bolt right there? That's not going to be real easy to get to. That's not going to be too bad on the top carburetor. But that one right there, that's going to be a bit of a booger bear. I'm guessing to get it in focus there. But that's not going to be, there's no way to get a socket on that. The only way is to get an open end or a box end wrench on that. But we will see how this works out. Y'all stay tuned. In order to make it easier to access, there's two bolts holding this fuel pump on here. It's the ones that are slotted, like for a flathead, they're 5/16. It's more of that ancient technology. These two bolts right here. And once we swing that out of the way, now we can really get to the bolts on this side of the carburetor. You need to take your fuel pump loose. You'll see there's only two bolts that hold it to the power head. These two bolts are right here in the location right here. I am removing the zip tie clamps from the fuel lines. I need to get the primary line off of the top. You're going to find that most of these things all have the zip tie type fuel clamps on all of your fuel lines. You just want to take this top one loose and move it all the way out of the way with the fuel pump. I'm going to replace all of this hose and filter later. 4 7/16 or 11mm nuts secure the carburetors in place. It was a lot easier for me just to take the top carburetor out of the way to be able to access the lower carburetor. You're going to probably find that it's going to be easier for you to do the same. For the sake of time, I'm going to speed things up here. Folks, this was not a bad running engine. It hadn't been too terribly long since work had been done, and it wasn't running bad. It was running perfect, but it went underwater, and so that's our concern. I'm cutting the clamp off of the cold start primer solenoid. There's a line going to the bottom carburetor and a line going to number 1 carburetor here. I'm taking these lines loose. This one here, we'll see if we can get, don't know, may not be able to expose or get that bolt out of the float bowl till we get it on the bench. Separation tool, pull that loose or not. Just gonna get it. That's water. That is straight up water coming out that float bowl right there. That is not gas, that's water. See that? Carburetors, both carburetors are going to be full of water. Heck, that power head's probably going to be full of water. Cool thing about it being a 2-stroke, we get it dried out and she should bust right off with no worries. Didn't damage that line. That line's in good shape. Just all we have to do is hook it back up when needs be. We'll take this crossover line here loose as well. Probably going to have to take them off one at a time. We'll see there's, see about separating the linkage here. This is a 5/16 right here. That may be loose enough for me to be able to manipulate these things off of here. Do not want to drop the nut. It surely looks to me. I got the top carburetor off. This sleeve right here just slides up in. I thought I had the camera running. Then you find out you didn't. There's water. Still dumping the water out the carburetor. See right here, that slotted sleeve right here slides up on this stud in the top carburetor. Now that that one is out of the way, wow, I hope the box end will get on it. It looks like it will if it's thin enough. Nope, that's not gonna break it loose. There we go. Yeah, as I figured. And here's where you just got to be patient. There's no way to hurry this up. Absolutely no way. And these are lock nuts. I don't want to drop that. But I don't know if they're magnetic or not, because I haven't got a magnet. Let's see. We can do it this way. Alright, got it. You can't get this nut off this side until the carburetor is out about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch. There. That out of the way. That out of the way. This thing's gonna be full of water. I'm telling you boys, it's going to be full of water. I can feel it. Alright, let's see if we can get this primer hose off. We got it moving now. Alright, there we go. We got it. Now, the thing about it is, the 7/16 there, get that. Take this drain plug loose. That's water. That is straight up water coming right out of the float bowl. Float bowl is full of water. You'd have never got this thing to start, fellas. I'm gonna take the float bowl off. Gonna clean it out, flush it out, and we'll get them put back on here. These cavities right here going into your reed valves. This is your reed valve assembly right here. There was water. I can still see remnants of water here. Like I said, this engine was underwater probably 15 minutes. And every open orifice to the atmosphere would have filled up with water. I've had them sitting out here for a while. The kits ain't going to be here till tomorrow, but I wanted them good and bone dry. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop the float bowls off and look and see. I doubt any debris got in, because it could only come in through like your idle jet there, and that's a big throat right there for water to get in. And Capt Buster said it was the motor was probably underwater 15 to 20 minutes before they finally got it up out of the river. Well, let's pop the float bowls off this thing and see what it looks like. They were both full of water. It had already drained out right here. 7/16. Still ye old ancient era tools. It is clean, very clean. Like I said, these were the engine was running very, very well, and it wasn't that things were messing up. Something I noticed here. Let's see, I can get a good look at it in the light. See here, that float is set a little bit lean. It should be almost perfectly level. See how that is a lean float. Both carburetors all look identical. You bend that little tab right there where your needle is. You bend that tab up towards you for the float to go up higher. So we're going to need to bend up that tab on both carburetors to get these both floats to be level. I'm going to do that, and then I'll come back. Okay, now you see how the float is level? That's what they should look like. Not like this. They should look like this. I mean, beautiful, clean. It does not need a cleaning. We just needed to flush all the water out. 30 years of mechanic work. The gum out carburetor cleaner works great. You really want to make sure all of these jets and orifices are open and flushed. Especially idle jet, and it's wide open. Your emulsifier is right here. Everything is wide open. It's wide open. We surely want to hit our idle jet wide open. See? Wide open. Make sure that all the water is out of it. I got 2 kits coming just to be on the safe side, make sure we don't have any leaking gaskets or anything like that. Gum Out is not a sponsor. It's just what I've used over 30 plus years as a tech. All right, that all looks good. I think we're going to be able to get this back just fine. We're going to be replacing fuel line as well. So this comes straight off of the fuel pump. Right here, we're going to measure all this. Make sure we're going to cut some, should be 5/16 line here. And I got a Quicksilver, which is a actual Mercury replacement fuel filter for this. This is pretty self-explanatory, guys. You see, you just make sure you cut all this stuff the same length, and it'll mate back up just fine. All right, they're all cleaned up and back together. Main thing is we got all the water flushed out, and these both floats were set way too lean. That had to be affecting performance. Anyway, the idle air screws were out 1 1/4 turns, and so that's where we left them. Okay folks, we got everything's gone back, starter's back on it. I left the plugs out. I just checked it with the endoscope. It's dry as a bone in there now. Number 4 cylinder had a pile of water in it. But anyway, I left the plugs out. We're gonna check and see if it lives. That's a good sign. That's good. Not a drop of water coming out. We're gonna put the plugs back in it. We'll see if she starts. Alrighty folks, this is just to see if she lives. We're gonna hit both carburetors with a little bit of carburetor cleaner. Let's see if it burps. Uh-oh. Alrighty then. She lives. I'm out here by myself. I ain't got nobody to hang on anything. Well folks, I primed the bulb good and tight. We didn't have any fuel leaks, and she busted right off. I was a happy camper. I know Captain Buster's a happy camper too. But that's the cool thing about these older carburated outboard motors. You can drop them, sink them, and you can bring them back. You can bring them back to life with usually a simple protocol like I laid out here. Works most of the time. I appreciate y'all riding along with me. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. We'll see y'all on the next one. Bye-bye. In the ancient of days, old motors took things called imperial sockets. These were sockets that had weird symbols on them. They had 3s and slants that go through and 8s on the other side. There was no MMs on it. There was what they called the Imperial King's English size. 3/8, 1/2 inch, 9/16, 5/16. Ancient terminology such as this. This motor happens to be one of those. So we're going to need stuff like 3/8, 1/2 inch, and all that on these fasteners. What a privilege it is to work on these ancient of engines. This is a 95. I graduated high school in '83. I'm just being funny, folks.